Hello friends, continuing with our delirium rubric understanding. Today we are going to discuss one important delirium and an understanding of a remedy connected to this delirium. The delirium is delirium hemorrhage after. So what do you mean by hemorrhage? Hemorrhage means when there is rapid loss of something, some important thing is being lost continuously and rapidly, leading to weakness of person, weakness of whole system, weakness of organization. Okay, so let us understand this hemorrhage deeply. So hemorrhage means, see, for example, there is an organization and people are moving away from that organization, they are leaving it and they are joining another organization. So this is hemorrhagic crisis for that particular organization. Same way in a relationship, if people are moving away from you and they are getting cut off from you, so that is called as hemorrhage of a relationship. It doesn't mean only the loss of blood. Hemorrhage, there is this interpretation also when there is sudden loss of something, either money, either your territory, either your relationship, whatever is important to you, whatever is so intimate to you, when there is the loss of that particular thing, then you can interpret that situation as hemorrhage. So in this delirium hemorrhage after, we'll try to understand the remedy Ignatia. How Ignatia reaches up to this delirium is worth understanding for. Okay. Now, if we understand things in out of the box fashion, this Ignatia, for her, blood loss means, blood here for Ignatia means some person who is very intimate to Ignatia, for with which Ignatia is very much connected to. Dil se connected. Ignatia is connected to that person by heart, by strong emotions. She is very much connected to. And if that person moves away from the life of Ignatia, so for Ignatia, this is hemorrhagic crisis. Okay. So this separation for Ignatia is sudden and severe. This is the thing which hurts Ignatia the most. The separation is always sudden and severe. So that is why we have that ailment from love, disappointment, or ailment from death. So what does these rubrics means? Ailment from death of loved one. What do you mean by these rubrics is the loss. Okay, death means complete loss. Okay, it can either be interpreted as the person dies, or in other words, if you have totally lost contact with that particular person, that is also, you can perceive it as death. So here, death of loved one means you suddenly and very rapidly you lose contact with a particular person. So this, you call it as the death of loved one. Loved one here means a person with whom you have emotional bonding, and then that person suddenly moves away from you. The situation which a person will get after this is the situation of Ignatia. So this is perceived as mental shock by Ignatia, and this sadness is extreme and this is prolonged. Okay, there is one rubric, and from this rubric you will be able to understand how much depth of this sadness is there or grief is there in Ignatia. You know, there is a difference between grief and sadness. Grief is something very deep seated, deep seated thing. Sadness is a superficial thing. You will recover very fast in sadness, but in grief you will recover after a long time. Okay, so there is one rubric: grief losing objects after. Okay, this is there in Ignatia. So what do you mean by grief or losing objects after? What do you mean by object? Object means something which is having a form, a shape or a size, but it is not living. There is no consciousness in that particular thing. So that is the meaning of object. Understand this. Ignatia has grief when Ignatia loses the life form, lifeless things. Imagine the amount of grief and sadness Ignatia might face when the object is a person. Even for lifeless forms, Ignatia grieves so much. So imagine what impact losing a person will have in the life of Ignatia. Okay, so this rubric very well represents how much is the depth of grief Ignatia has. Okay, so yes, relations for Ignatia are very deep, and Ignatia is very much emotionally connected with any relationship she makes. There is one rubric which will explain this feeling of Ignatia. Delusion, marriage is married. This is very important rubric of Ignatia. What do you mean by delusion, marriage is married? Marriage means when there is an intimate connection between two people legally. Okay, there is legal, intimate and close union of two persons. This is called as marriage. So in relationship, Ignatia has that close contact with people. Okay, Ignatia is so much connected with people. There is so much closeness with people, and not in one situation, in many situations, in almost all the relationships. Okay, so when that person hurts Ignatia, then what is the situation of Ignatia? Despair, lost everything is. Ignatia thinks that everything is lost. Despair, recovery of. Now she will not able to recover. There is no recovery of this relationship. She will not able to come up to that particular point. Despair, social position off. If there is a position loss and Ignatia is hurt, then that hopelessness is so much deep seated. Then mind grief, silent love from disappointed. What do you mean by grief silent? Silent means there is no reactivity shown to the environment. So Ignatia doesn't show any reactivity towards environment, and Ignatia doesn't complain. Why? How many people are like this? If a person is hurt, normally we will complain. We'll say, either we'll say to that person on face, or either we'll say to people who are near to us. We'll share, we'll complain. But Ignatia never shares, Ignatia never complains. This is also one form where Ignatia is in relationship with grief. Okay, now understand this. Ignatia wants to be in grief. Ignatia always tries or wants to keep herself in this particular state. She wants to grieve over things. Okay, this is also marriage. Delusion, married is married. So now here the marriage is with grief and sadness. She adopts, and she is so much connected. She doesn't want to come out of this grief. So in this state, Ignatia wants to stay. So this is marriage with sadness, marriage with grief. Okay, so this is delusion, married is married. So in all the above situation, when there is loss of relationship, so the hurt is extreme. Ignatia keeps silent, doesn't react. Okay, and this is what is the hemorrhage for Ignatia. I just few days back treated a child who came with acute bronchiolitis. I asked mother, what is his problem? What scared him? He was taking medication from last 3 to 4 months and he was not at all better. I asked mother, how is his nature? Mother said, sir, this child, he is, whoever mocks him, whoever insults him, whoever says anything to him, he will never react. He doesn't know how to react. Okay, so this is one trait which he is having since beginning. So what is this rubric? Cowardice, express his opinion, cannot. I don't remember the exact rubric. Cowardice without with inability to express his opinion. Okay, some type of something like this rubric is there, and in that rubric Ignatia is there. Now try to correlate this rubric and acute bronchiolitis. Here the environment tries to irritate him, tries to insult him, tries to dominate him. How does this child is reacting? He is not expressing because he is not able to. Okay, so the environment is trying to suffocate, but he is not able to react. So what is happening in the respiratory system? Mucus is being accumulated. He is not able to express. He is suffocating from inside. So mentally this child is suffocating because he is not able to do anything, because he is very timid. Okay, he is not. He doesn't feel capable of reacting. So here the suffocation is in the respiratory passages because he feels suffocated here. Okay, so Ignatia was given. So friends, if you have any queries, please do share and please subscribe and like. Please give suggestions also. I would like to go through your suggestions. Thank you.